We're ready when you are, Mayor McClure.
Okay. I'll call this meeting of the Seward City Council to order. It is Monday, May 13th, 2024. It is 7 p.m. Deputy Chief, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, would you please read the roll?
Roll call for tonight's meeting. Wells?
Here.
Osenga?
Here.
Kreitz?
Here.
Finch?
Here.
Barnwell?
Here.
Calhoun is excused, and Mayor McClure.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We're now at citizen comments on any subject except items scheduled for public hearing. We do have one public hearing item. There's a 3-minute time limit for this section and a 36-minute total. If you've signed in, you'll get first shot at it, and then I will take shows of hands up until the end of 36 minutes. The paper is coming over. The clerk is receiving the paper.
One person is signed up. Dwayne Keil.
Dwayne, would you like to speak?
Oh, I thought that was just for
Just to be
attendance.
here? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Does anyone want to say anything about any subject at all? Going once, going twice? Okay. We'll move along to approval of the agenda and consent agenda. I'd need a motion to approve and a second, please.
I move for the approval of tonight's consent, or agenda and consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any changes anyone would like to make? I have one. I'd like to remove Resolution 2024-028 from the consent agenda and place it in the appropriate spot under new business resolutions. There's no objection. Okay, any other changes? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, we're ready to vote.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda as amended. Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Finch?
Yes.
And McClure.
Yes.
Okay, your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and on the consent agenda was the approval of the April 29th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. This brings us to special orders, presentations, and reports. We have a couple of proclamations. The first one is for Building Safety Month. You can find it on page 5 of the packet, and I'm asking the Honorable Vice Mayor Osenga to please read this.
Okay, Proclamation Building Safety Month, May of 2024. Whereas the City of Seward is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety of homes, buildings, and infrastructure in everyday life and when disasters strike, and whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings can only be achieved through the dedication of vigilant building safety inspectors, fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the proper construction of Alaska buildings, and whereas the International Code Council is a nonprofit that brings together local, state, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes, and whereas Mission Possible, the theme for Building Safety Month 2024, encourages our citizens to consider the commitment to improve public building safety, sustainability, resilience, and economic investment at home and in communities, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state code officials and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, Mayor Sue McClure does proclaim May 2024 as Building Safety Month in the City of Seward and encourage all citizens and fellow Alaskans to join us as we participate in Building Safety Month activities dated this 13th day of May 2024 and signed by Mayor McClure.
Okay, thank you. And Fire Chief Kreitz will receive this. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I had put this in and didn't realize our building official, Jeremy Rogers, was going to be on a much overdue vacation. So sorry he couldn't be here, but we got a great team. Jeremy's doing a great job. And we got a new fire marshal, Tyler Mallory's doing a great job. So just trying to keep people safe inside and outside the homes and businesses. So thank you, appreciate it very much.
Okay, thank you. And the second proclamation is for Sobina Clendaniel. And I don't think anyone is here from her. Oh, come on in. Thank you very much. I was hoping. Okay. The wrestlers come in. Okay, I'll read this. You can just stand wherever you'd like there, and so people can see you, though. The TV's up there. Whereas Sobina Clendaniel, a freshman at Seward High School and a member of the Marathon Wrestling Club, participated at the 2024 U.S. Marine Corps Women National Wrestling Championship in Spokane, Washington on April 14th, 2024. And whereas Sobina, along with 1,520 women, competed at the podium, an award-winning facility filled with 13 wrestling mats and over 5,000 individual matches wrestled over the weekend. And whereas Sobina competed in U15 54-kilogram division, with 4 seconds left, down by 3 points, Sobina performed a perfect double-leg takedown to propel her into the medals rounds. Sobina won her last match 3-0, placing her in 7th place. And whereas Sobina Clendaniel was awarded All-American for her 7th place in the nation at the 2024 Marine Corps Women's Wrestling Nationals, making her Seward's first All-American wrestler. And now, therefore, I, Sue McClure, Mayor of the City of Seward, Alaska, do hereby congratulate Sobina for her 7th place at Women Wrestling Nationals and obtaining the first All-American status for Seward, dated this 13th day of May, 2024, and signed by myself, the Mayor. And so, congratulations. Anything? You can tell me what it was. Be on the
We're
national-
speechless.
I appreciate the opportunity that was given to be able to go to Spokane, Washington, and I try to perform my best. Thank you.
Do gotta add one thing to there. She's
Yeah,
got
please.
some new accolades here from last, 2 weekends ago. So USA wrestled the club marathon. We went up there. Once again, there was 900 kids up there in the divisions. 3 separate ones. You had folk style, Greco, and then freestyle. And she took first in all 3. Now we're sending her to Western States down in Idaho here in June 24th or so, and see what happens there.
Very
Gonna
nice.
keep up.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And now we have a slightly more somber in memoriam proclamation that I will read. And this is for Marianna Keil. Whereas the City Council of Seward wishes to offer this proclamation in memoriam for Marianna Keil with deep gratitude for her service. And whereas Marianna passed away April 28th, 2024 in Seward, Alaska. And whereas Marianna was elected a member of the Seward City Council from 1995 to 1997 and from 2008 to 2018. And whereas Marianna was elected by the council as vice mayor for many of those years. And whereas Marianna served on the Planning and Zoning Commission from 2001 to 2008. And whereas Marianna worked for domestic violence for Seaview Community Services in Seward during which time she helped countless individuals. And whereas Marianna served as the Legislative Information Officer for the State of Alaska in the Seward office, keeping us informed on legislative updates and public hearings. And whereas Marianna raised 2 strong daughters here and was an active member of our community. And whereas Marianna will be missed by her family, the citizens of Seward, and people that she touched throughout our country. Now therefore I, Sue McClure, Mayor of the City of Seward, extend our deepest condolences and present this special recognition in memoriam to the family of Marianna Keil, dated this 13th day of May, 2024. And I'd like for us to just have a brief moment of silence just to remember Marianna. It's the wishes of the family that people remember her as she was to them and celebrate her life in groups as they gather. And she was my friend, and she's got some friends here too, and her husband, and I deeply grieve over this. And Dwayne, I'd like to hand this to you if you would come up.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for coming. We'll move on now to the city manager report, which you can find on page 8. And by the way, if you'd like to read that in memoriam, it is on page 7 of the packet.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for those proclamations in memoriam tonight. Good to recognize the present in Seward and the past, and recognize those who have helped make us where we are today. My written report is in the council packet. There are a few things I would like to add to that written report. The first is that back in December, you may remember we opted not to automatically renew our power supply contract with Chugach Electric. It expires at the end of this year, December 31st, 2024. And this is just an opportunity to receive the best rate for our ratepayers and to potentially open the door with Chugach to discuss the contract we currently have on the table with them. It's basically due diligence. We do it in every 3-year cycle. We've missed some in the past and just automatically renewed, but this time we opted to in December send that letter to notify them that we would be opening the contract this year. We had originally anticipated to have this process started by the end of Q1, but due to the natural gas supply shortage and us onboarding a new utility manager, we pushed that back a little bit, and we are now in the midst of this process. So I'll be reporting back as soon as we have any updates, but just wanted to keep you abreast of how that situation's progressing along. Also, due to some unforeseen circumstances, the DMV is closed until Wednesday, and then will be open on an abbreviated schedule. We appreciate everyone's patience, and we'll keep everybody updated as that progresses. And then parking passes are now available for purchase for the harbor area. The cost is $50 for the whole summer, and you can pick up your parking pass at Avtech Sports and Rec Desk during their regular hours. The pass is a tag, so it can be exchanged between cards. So if you have 2 vehicles, you only need 1 pass. And we are enforcing parking rules this summer, including the 2-hour lot, so please be mindful of where you park and for how long. Other than that, I'm open to questions if anybody has any.
Okay, are there questions for the city manager or comments? Could we get a comment on how the bike rodeo and cleanup went? I can attest that it was a kind of a wet cleanup, but I got 4 bags of garbage in just over an hour, so there was stuff out there.
Yeah, would either Deputy Chief Schaefer-Meyer or Clinton Kreitz like to add about the bike rodeo? Or I will admit it was a rainy day.
It was
so
really wet, I saw some pictures of the bike rodeo, so maybe you could just say something.
Yes, it was definitely a wet day. We were counting down to the start of it, and we're getting kind of worried, didn't see anybody coming. But then we got a pretty good crowd. We still have some hot dogs left over, but we had everything we pulled out, we ended up giving away, and yeah, I think it was a good success. Kids had fun despite the weather, and even the parents had a good time, I think. So.
Good. It's an important part of the year. I just love picking up the trash on cleanup day. I don't know why, it's just a thing. And as I was out sort of near Essential 1 in that general area by the highway, someone came over and gave me some flowers. It was Mother's Day weekend, and so I thought, wow, that's pretty slick, you know. And one year I found $5, so that was something too. Anyway, thank you. Anything else for the city manager? Okay, I got to turn back here. City clerk report on page 17. What you got?
So the clerk's office has received a few questions recently about the origins of our city logo. So I just thought I'd put together a little mini memo of the original design contest and then a couple letters from before and after the contest took place, both in the 80s. So you can see the winning logo minus the barley leaves around the side. I think they were cut due to a grain silo controversy, but I'm sure that's a whole different path to go down on that one. And then you can see the original city logo on the city manager letterhead. It was like an S on a shield. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting bit of history.
I love how you're delving into history.
Yeah.
I pointed out to him, you know, that we had a contest to, the city logo used to be our city flag. It was sort of like a white flag with that logo, and some years back we had a contest for someone to design a city flag. It was a school kid, and that's the new city flag that you see around. So other entities are redesigning their logos, so just put the kind of bug in people's ears that we might think about that as times change. We don't have grain anymore, for example, and it is present there. So, did you have anything else, Mr. Clerk?
Oh, and the bike rodeo was a lot of fun.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you couldn't ask for worse weather, but
Resilient
Yeah.
Seward children and garbage picker uppers. Okay, city attorney report. We have one right here. An attorney.
Yes,
Right
you
here.
do. Hi. Yeah, so the report, as usual, a lot of things covered in very short detail. I've developed a habit of trying to focus on one or two and maybe explaining a little bit beyond what's stated there about kind of how we operate. And there's a couple of litigation matters that are new at the bottom on the second page there. And those are both brought by Mr. Rydberg and are based in something that happened in the jail in 2022. He says that he was having a medical issue and didn't get the appropriate help. And then there's two suits. They're separate and they both kind of are from the same issue. It's representing himself. And the part that I think is interesting about that is that insurance handles those claims for us and appoint an attorney. That attorney in this case is Clint Campion. We work with him, with his office, and with him frequently in this kind of situation. And what we do is stay involved, and as we have been in this one, and he'll send us initially participate in meetings just to get the thing squared away and figure out the strategy. He'll send us draft copies of documents, and then eventually we kind of back out, but he'll keep us posted. And a lot of times we are, well, almost all the time, more experts in municipal areas of law, how a police department or a municipal jail is run, and so he'll look to us for expertise in that, but he's handling the case. And so that's something that we try to not be redundant, but stay abreast enough so that we can advise the city and occasionally see things differently. And I'm glad that Clint is handling that because he works it's very complimentary how he works with our office. So we're not handling that directly, but we'll continue to update as appropriate on those too. So unless there's any questions about anything else, I'll conclude.
Okay, questions for the attorney? They get so quiet at these times. No questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you for being here. It's always beautiful in Seward and sunny, right?
Yeah, it is. It makes the drive. It was a lovely drive
It was
tonight.
sparkly pretty today.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, we have a presentation tonight, a 10-minute presentation about rural cap mutual self-help housing program by Michelle French, and I believe she's on the phone. Are you there, Michelle?
I am. Are you able to hear me okay?
You're hearing okay? Yeah, we can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me this evening. My name is Michelle French, and I am the Rural Housing Director, and I've been with Rural CAP for almost 15 years now. Self-help housing is my baby. I'm very passionate about this and so excited to share information about what we do and about this program. Next slide, please. Rural CAP was founded in 1965, and we are a private, statewide, nonprofit organization, and we do work to improve the quality of life for low-income Alaskans. We operate with a deep respect for all people, and our programs in housing, early childhood education, and health and well-being serve to alleviate the root causes of poverty. Next slide. Rural CAP has served thousands of Alaskans throughout its history, both directly and indirectly, and our involvement in the Alaska Native Settlement Claims Act helped establish the regions, corporations, and nonprofits that are still thriving today. In just the past 10 years, we've employed an average of 651 employees around the state in an average of 71 communities every single year. Next slide. The Rural CAP is a HUD-certified housing counseling agency, a USDA Rural Development Certified Loan Packager, a USDA 523 Technical Assistance Grantee for the Mutual Self-Help Housing Program, and a community-based development organization. Next slide. As a HUD-certified housing counseling agency, we're the only one in the state that operates our headquarters within Alaska. And we do provide guidance to families and individuals who are interested in becoming eligible for a mortgage loan. We can assist in credit counseling and budgeting and preparing clients for home ownership. Next slide. As a USDA Rural Development Certified Loan Packager, Rural CAP can assist families and individuals with low and very low income who live in eligible rural areas to obtain decent, safe, and sanitary housing. And next slide. So we'll cover now our mutual self-help housing program. We began our program in 2006. Since that time, we have assisted families in constructing 93 homes on the central Kenai Peninsula. And we currently have another 9 under construction in Sobina, which will put us over 100 homes that we've constructed through this program. Next slide. So what is mutual self-help housing? It's a group of families that work together to build their homes under the supervision of a skilled project manager that provides training and technical assistance to ensure quality. Rural CAP will acquire between 9 to 12 parcels of property in a subdivision, and we qualify families or individuals for the financing that they need to purchase the lot and the materials that they need to own or build their home. Rural CAP provides all of the technical assistance they need to ensure that the homes are completed to all local and state building codes. They meet all lender requirements, and they stay on schedule and on budget. And nobody gets to move in until all of the homes are completed and all of the final inspections are received. It generally takes about 12 months from groundbreaking to the completion of the homes in the group. Families are required to put in 65% of the labor to construct their home and their neighbor's home, and that equals about 35 hours a week per household. But what's really nice and really the cornerstone of this program is volunteers. So our participants are able to recruit friends and family to help volunteer and put in hours on their behalf. Volunteers can put in half of the 35 hours per week, which makes this more doable for families that are working full-time and that have children. Next slide. To participate in our self-help housing program, applicants must be able to qualify for a 502 rural development direct mortgage loan and also put in 35 hours of labor. Next slide. For credit to be eligible for a 502 direct mortgage loan, I'm sorry, this is income guidelines, my apologies. So USDA does have income maximums for this program, and it's based on household size and the area that the homes are being constructed in. They are very generous income limits. And then for credit guidelines, the credit is really a big indicator of an applicant's willingness and ability to repay a mortgage loan. And so while there's no minimum credit score that's required for a 502 mortgage, a middle FICO score of 640 or greater with no significant delinquency requires no further analysis. That doesn't mean that individuals with no score or with a score under 640 are automatically ineligible, but it does mean that we do need to do some additional analysis to make sure that they are willing and able to make their monthly payments in a timely manner. Next slide. And there are a number of wonderful benefits for families who participate in the mutual self-help housing program. There is no down payment requirement. The family sweat equity is their down payment. The only cash out of pocket for this program is $250, which is covering the cost of a credit report and the tool deposit. All of their fees are financed into the loan, and this includes taxes, construction interest, closing costs, and all of the construction costs needed to build the house. Families also do not have to make any payments during the construction of the home. The interest does accrue, construction interest does accrue, but it is added onto the back end of the loan, and once the houses are finished being constructed, the interest is added to the principal and re-amortized over the remaining term of that mortgage loan. The 502 direct loan is both a construction and a permanent loan. So the family's loan, they're all closed before construction begins. The lot is placed into each family's name. And then at the end of construction, 30 days after they move in, that loan then converts into their permanent financing. So it is a single close, which makes things a lot easier for our families. Payments are subsidized based upon income, and the subsidy is a reduction in the interest rate that the borrower is obligated to pay. So that interest rate can actually be reduced down as far as 1% based on household income. Right now, the fixed interest rate that would be the note rate for a 502 direct mortgage is 4.5%. And the term can go anywhere from 33 to 38 years based on family's income, which makes these even more affordable. Mortgage payments are oftentimes less than what participants are currently paying in rent, and these are brand new homes that have never been occupied, 5-star plus energy rated homes with warranties on all of the subcontracted labor. Families learn construction and maintenance skills through participation in this program. There is no requirement for our previous construction experience. Our staff provides all of the technical assistance that is needed to build the homes from start to finish. All right, next slide, please. We do partner with several local and state and federal agencies to provide down payment assistance to eligible families who participate in construction of their homes through this program. These are generally conditionally forgivable grants that do not accrue interest and do not require monthly payments as long as the borrower is owner-occupying the home. Some are fully forgivable in 5 or 10 years of owner occupancy. These programs effectively reduce the amount of the family's first mortgage loan and make their housing payments even more affordable for them. The down payment assistance paired with sweat equity that the families and their volunteers contribute generally allow for them to pay mortgage payments which are significantly less than they pay in rent. Next slide. And the next few slides, these are examples of some of the homes that we have constructed through this program. The elevation you see is our 4-bedroom plan, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, with a 2-car attached garage. The next slide shows an interior view, which shows you a kitchen. These are all open floor plans. And then on the right side is a master bedroom with a walk-in closet and attached bathroom. And then the next slide does show a typical bathroom, a mechanical room, and a 2-car garage. And the final slide here is information on who to contact with regards to this program, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have for me.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Council, are there questions? Councilmember Barnwell.
Yeah, I'm just wondering when the house is finished, how do you prevent the owner from flipping it? Do you have some sort of, yeah, sorry.
Wonderful question, and we get that a lot from different communities that we go into. The family puts in a significant amount of labor in constructing these homes, so it's about a year of their life. They're putting in over 2,000 hours of construction. So what we have seen in the 93 homes that we have constructed in the past is that very few of these families transfer or sell their property. Of the 93, we've seen maybe 6 people actually put them back on the market to sell. Additionally, there is a requirement for those subsequent grants that they receive that they own or occupy between 5 to 10 years in order for those grants to be forgiven.
Good question. Yeah. Other questions? The relevance of this is that we have some of these going in Seward, correct?
That is correct. We are under contract to purchase 10 lots and are anticipating the beginning of construction in the summer construction season next year.
Okay, thank you. That's exciting. Well, thank you very much. Good presentation. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you again for having me.
Okay. Moving on to the business part of the meeting. We have a public hearing on Ordinance 2024-008. Mr. Clerk, would you please read that in for the record?
Ordinance 2024-008, amending Seward City Code 2.30.225 and 16.01, responsibilities of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And you'll find that on page 60 of the packet. I'd need a motion to enact and a second, please.
I'll move for the enactment of Ordinance 2024-008.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Madam City Manager or Assistant, whichever.
I'm going to toss this to the Deputy City Manager, Jason.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, I want to give a little bit of background here, but if we look in the history of Seward, we have a lot of different subdivisions that have gone in, and we can see that some were done a little bit better than others with street widths and the way the neighborhood's kind of framed up and looked. But all these were done kind of under our current subdivision agreement process, which is kind of varied depending on who's working for the city at the time or who's in these different departments. And so, and having gone through and done a couple of different subdivision agreements myself, and Title 16 is the code that backs up the subdivision agreement. It is a very difficult process to try and embark on in a vacuum by yourself, and I'm sure Danny can appreciate this as well. And so, after conversations with planning and zoning and with kind of community development, what this basically does is currently in Title 16, the Planning and Zoning Commission has oversight over 2 of the utility pieces that go into subdivisions. So we have like water, sewer, electricity, communications. But the problem is we also have things like streets, sidewalks, green spaces, a lot of these other parts of responsible development. And so what this ordinance will do is it will give the commission powers to influence Title 16 to help ensure responsible development. And also to help them kind of reinforce that subdivision agreement and give community development the opportunity, if they need you, to go in and discuss it, kind of like you would a CUP, so that we can make sure that things are being done responsibly, and also we have reinforcement of those things being done. And that way it's just not one person sitting in the office, and it's not depending on who's sitting in the office to make sure that it's done well. The other piece is too is that Title 16 points to certain pieces in fire code, into public works code, and we want to make sure that those are actually like pieces of code that are pointed to and adopted by the commission itself, with obviously help from the fire chief and public works director. But that way too, we have these hard points, and it's not at the whim of who's sitting in a certain office at one point in time. And so it makes it more robust, just to ensure more responsible development, with kind of more touch points and more input. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Let's get the public hearing and then we'll
Okay.
get the questions, okay? I'll open the public hearing on Ordinance 2024-008. Mr. Clerk, has anyone signed in?
Is there another sign-in sheet over there, Jason?
Uh-oh. It has not walked its way over yet. We're moving along too fast tonight, that's
Well, after all that, nobody is signed in.
I was kind of looking at the faces. Does anyone wish to speak on Ordinance 2024-008? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Council questions, first of all. Okay, I have a housekeeping amendment to make that I think it's just housekeeping, so we can probably just agree upon it. If you'll look on page 70 of the packet, right at the very top, number 6, it's subsection C, but it's number 6. In both the underlined title there and the body of that section 6, I move to amend the word telephone to read communication instead. This was suggested by a citizen. Because things have progressed beyond the telephone now. And if we have agreement on that, I guess we don't need to vote. Is that okay? It's a housekeeping amendment. Okay, other questions or discussion on this? So what it sounds to me like then is giving more responsibility to planning and zoning, but partly of that is to spread the discussion out more than just having one particular administrator mandate these things. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
So this may be a more transparent and useful, because there have been some suggestions that perhaps planning and zoning commissioners may not be well educated on some of these things, but it would be advisory on both ends. Is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion on this with the amendment? Are we ready to, oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, I just was wondering to myself, how does planning and zoning, so said they go to the public works director and ask them to verify, but because they don't have the expertise, what's their basis for their decision?
Well, so the way that they would involve the public works director in that is that they would say, hey, what code we want to establish a specific code for like water and sewer. Right now, we kind of assume that we're operating under Anchorage Muni Code because that's kind of what the rest of the people in the state do. But we want to make sure that like that is actually what we're pointing to and it says it in our document. Because since it doesn't, it's kind of at the whim of what the public works director kind of wants. And so this way, the public works director, when they say, hey, we want to, because this now gives them power to kind of adopt those pieces and look at different things, like for instance, everything from like water, sewer, and adopt that in and say like, yes, we're going to adopt the Anchorage standards for water and sewer installation just because that's what kind of the state does. But it also gives them the opportunity to say, hey, from here on out, with subdivisions over like 20 lots, we want to have a lot of green space for a community park. Or we want to make sure that if you do not have sidewalks, your roads are a little bit wider with some space on the top side for people to walk. There's a lot of other things that the commission can help the community development director with, to put in with, and in those conversations, obviously you'd want to have the the public works director come in and say like, yeah, this is our standard road width. Yes, this would be good for putting a lane in here for someone to walk in to make it more pedestrian friendly. So they would act in kind of an advisory role as they're forming up this subdivision agreement. And sometimes they may not need to come in and sometimes they may need to or something like that. But I'm sure the public works director or the fire chief, all those people are very interested in being part of that conversation, because then it's easier for them to get the road graders in there and to have snow, make sure that we have adequate places to put snow, because we know what it's like in neighborhoods that has not been done in advance. And so it just creates a more open conversation, more robust, and just ensures kind of a consistency of quality development within our neighborhoods. So, yeah.
Okay. We'll give it a shot. Any other questions, comments? Are we ready to vote? Looks like we're ready to vote.
Voting on the enactment of Ordinance 2024-008 with the one housekeeping amendment. Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Finch?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, that ordinance has been enacted.
Okay, and we only have one other item and then a discussion. The one other item is Resolution 2024-028, which I've removed from the consent agenda, so now it's down under new business.
Actually, Mayor McClure,
I'm wrong.
unfinished business would come next
Oh.
for the...
Oh, yeah.
See, I was just having a discussion with another chair of one of our commissions saying that I always intentionally make a mistake at each meeting.
Consistency.
Okay, well, the discussion comes first then, under unfinished business. And the discussion is, we postponed this discussion from the last meeting. It's on parking signs at the Mount Marathon hiking trailhead, and there's some informational stuff on page 93. And we left it with some questions and stuff. So administration, what did you come up with?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So since our last meeting, I discussed with several department heads and went on some back and forth, and administration's recommendation is going to be that we create a fire lane at the entrance of a Jeep trail, since it is fire access, emergency access to that area. Something to consider with that is that state law limits us to a $25 fine, but we are able to author an ordinance with a fine of our choice. Last council meeting, Councilmember Finch recommended $150, so if that is the guidance you'd like to give, we can move forward with that. But within a fire lane, that does include immediate towing, so kind of hits all of the marks that we wanted to, while also putting a big display that indicates that parking is not allowed there.
Okay, so what would you need if we decide on the fire lane, a recommendation from us, and then that would...
A recommendation to do the fire lane, and then if you would like to have a fine higher than $25, directing administration to bring back an ordinance with a fine amount of your choice.
Okay, so what's the thoughts? Yeah, Councilmember Wells.
Yep, I'm with Councilmember Finch on the rate, and I think that the fire lane is a great idea.
I agree, Chief had a good idea on that fire lane.
Councilmember Finch. So, first of all, fire lane, any objection to making that a fire lane? I'm all for it. Okay, so the fine then, Councilmember Finch.
Would that be on both sides of the street?
No, it would be on the side adjacent to the Jeep trailhead.
I mean, on the east and west side, because what's happening is they park on the, by the trail, and then they park over on the left-hand side. So if we can make that whole section right there a fire lane, because if you have a big emergency, you get trucks in there, you're gonna need the spot.
Could we ask?
But we could do no parking signs.
We can continue the no parking signs down there, but the fire lane would be a specific length, and then we'll continue the no parking signs down as well.
Okay. Okay, so we're in favor of the fire lane. Yes? Okay, how about the fee then? So parking in a fire lane comes with, you get towed and you get fined $25. That's standard. So we can make it higher. And Councilmember Finch, your suggestion was?
Mine was 150 because, like I said, I had friends and family live down there and some things I've witnessed. People need an eye opener, and there seems to be a lot of disrespect going on in town about parking. I mean, you know, I've been driving for the past 2 weeks every morning downtown. It's amazing how many vehicles are still there downtown at 7:30 in the morning and no business is open. So we need to do something about parking in town.
Okay, how did the rest of you feel about that? I know you stated it, 150? I mean, if it says no parking fire lane, and you park in a fire lane, you know you're breaking the law. I guess that's the point. And it will, the signs, there will be signage with, you will be towed and however that, and.
Yes.
Councilmember Barnwell.
So will that sign say $150?
If that is, yes,
Yeah.
if that's the amount that we decide, yeah.
Whatever we decide.
And
yeah,
just for some background information as well, Chief Nickel researched some other areas that do have their own fire lanes, and University of Alaska has a $200 fee fine in their fire lanes, and some other areas had about $150. So while we're above the state statute, we're not necessarily out of line or astronomically above other entities.
I'm seeing a lot of head nods here. Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So it would say $150 fine plus towed or towed or, I mean, okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, do we need to, Mr. Clerk, should we vote on this, or is the general consensus good?
General consensus is fine. Was it 150 the amount everyone agrees on?
And then that would come back as an ordinance?
Yes.
So then we would vote, and there would be public discussion at that point?
Yes.
Okay, are we good with that?
One more question.
Okay, Councilmember.
What would be the ETA of that?
We can move forward with getting everything lined out sooner rather than later. The ordinance will take the typical ordinance period of public hearing and all of that, but we can move forward with getting the actual infrastructure in place to have that soon, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, anything else on that? Now, may I suggest that we can go to Resolution 2024-028, correct?
Okay, I will read it for the record.
Thank you.
Resolution 2024-028, adopting the Seward Marine Industrial Center Development Plan as updated in November 2022.
Okay, and you'll find this on page 29 of the packet. I'd need a motion to approve and a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2024-028.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. I guess administration, what do you want to say about it, and then I'll say why I pulled it off.
Jason will speak to this.
Okay.
Yeah, this was forwarded by PACAB, and just to give you a little history, the last time City Council approved the SMIC plan was in 2018. The Port and Commerce Advisory Board has made some changes in between them, and normally there's kind of this 5-year process. We're not really sure like why it didn't, in 2022 when those last round of changes were made, why it didn't come forward for council approval then to kind of like create that establishment point of the new one. But like all of our other plans, we're trying to work to make this kind of more of a living document. And so I know that you guys received some public comments that are, some public feedback that are really, really good on this document. And so what we'd recommend, or what we'd like to ask, is that you guys go ahead and adopt this plan, because this is now going to be a living document, that it's going to be alive and we can update it at any time. And then we'll be forwarding those citizen comments to PACAB for them to include on the next one. And so, but it would be nice just to move up our timeline so we're not working back from the 2018 adoption, and just make this the 2022 adoption, at least move it up, because there's a lot of difference between the 2018 and the 2022. And so at least it moves us up a little bit. And talked with Harbor Master Szymanski about this. And so this is something that we're just going to be working on. And these documents are more important than ever, especially as we're looking for like capital improvements and funding and that type of thing. They want to see like an improved plan, and one that does not look like it was typed up in 1983. And so we're going to be also, like we did with the Muni Land Plan, we're going to be giving it a facelift and making it look nice with pictures and maps and that kind of thing. And so that's the direction we're moving, and so happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I removed this because I wanted that explanation for people, because it goes against my grain to approve something that's as flawed as this is, but it needs to be updated in a lot of ways. And so you're saying that it will go to PACCAB next with the mandate to fix it, right?
Yes.
And with the citizens' comments and other input. And then, but we haven't had, we as a council never approved this when it should have been 2 years ago.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Correct.
So this gives them something to work from.
Yeah, just a higher baseline.
Okay,
correct, yeah.
all of that. I wanted the public to hear that because it didn't make much sense to me. Okay, council, do you have any comments on this? Councilmember Barnwell, please.
I just wonder if we should put a timeline on this. I know it sounds like you're pretty geared up to get this going, but would it be useful to have some sort of report back to the council in so much time?
I'd like that.
Because that, for instance, has nothing about the Coast Guard changes on here, among
correct.
many things.
Yeah, the only problem is that PACCAB is now in their hiatus until fall.
Yeah.
And so what we can do is we can do a lot of work and clean this up and basically just bring it before PACCAB so they can, when they come back in the fall, we can have this prepped up and have a little facelift done to it and kind of, we can do our work, and that we're giving them a more forward document, and they can just approve it and then move it on to you guys. So I would say that's probably the best timeline that we could do.
Forgot about the hiatus part. Councilmember Wells.
Yeah, thank you. Can you give citizens that may not know what this hiatus is and why? That PACCAB takes this hiatus each year?
Yes, so PACCAB takes the months of June, July, and August off from meeting. A lot of them are involved in the port and commerce of our community, and that is busiest in those months, and so they do not meet for the next 3 months and then reconvene in September.
It's just how it is
Yeah.
in the documents.
Just in their
That's
charter.
important for people to know. It's not that they just walked off. Or
Yeah.
This is the way it's always been, right?
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, of course, thank you.
Any other comments on this? Okay, we'll give it a shot then. We'll be counting on administration to be working on this to give to them in the fall. Okay, are we ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, I think we are.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2024-028, Kreitz,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Barnwell,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, that resolution has been approved.
Okay, going on down here, we have one more discussion item. Discuss the fingerprint machine. We're all going like this. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So you may all remember a few months back, we closed the jail, and in that discussion, council directed us to maintain our fingerprinting services at a rate of $35 each to cover our costs. So it's not a revenue stream for us. That $35 is a clear covering of the cost that it takes for us to process and train somebody for that. We recently were approached by Spring Creek Correctional Center, who are in dire need of a fingerprint machine, and in an effort to be collaborative community partners, I wanted to invite them to come tonight and talk through a potential future for the machine. So I don't know if we have a group of people from Spring Creek. I don't know if somebody would like to come up and talk through the game plan if we decide to move forward.
Please, we didn't rock, paper, scissors.
You don't even have a 10-minute time limit, so. Yeah, tell us what you're wanting. And
Well,
who
my
are-
name's James Melbourne. I'm the superintendent of Spring Creek, and when we took over the booking process, we were just requesting that the fingerprint machine. It'll make our jobs a lot easier out there.
Okay.
Since they are now booking the people who would normally have gone to our community jail over in Spring Creek Corrections.
I did request from our deputy commissioner that we just come over there and start working the jail for you guys, but because of the overtime issues the state's been faced with lately, they did not approve that, but they said I can go ahead and just request this. So we talked to the city manager and the chief 2 weeks ago, and we want to be good community stewards, so we can offer that what you guys are doing now with the fingerprint machine, we can still offer that out at Spring Creek.
Okay.
We'll establish a schedule throughout the week that folks can come out there and get their fingerprints done as needed, and we can do that at no cost.
So as opposed to the $35 folks have been paying for background checks, it would be free just to drive over there.
And we would be sure from the city standpoint to help publicize those times and hours and make sure that that's available. And if anybody came here first, we could direct them in that direction as well.
Okay. Are there questions? Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Finch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The release, inmates being released after years that had the old fingerprint roll, would they be getting updated fingerprints to be processed when they're released, or?
If DPS requested that, we would.
Okay. We'll ask, how many departments across the state do you think this would be helping?
It'll help. One thing it'll do, because right now we're doing the ink roller, and then those fingerprints have to be mailed off, and then they have to be processed by a lab somewhere. And I don't know how many of you have ever done fingerprints on somebody, but when you're rolling the ink, if they're shaking it all, if there's any kind of environmental concerns there, they're not going to be real clean. And so if they're not, we'll get those returned to us, and then we have to redo them and send them back, and this is back and forth. With this machine, I have experience with this particular machine because I worked over at Wildwood Pretrial Facility for 18 years. We had it over there about the same time the police department here got it. We got ours over there. And it's not impossible to mess up the fingerprints, but it's very difficult to mess them up because it will not let you proceed forward with the machine until you've gotten it right. And it'll flash red if they're not good, and you just keep rolling them until it gives you a green sign. And with the criminal prints, those automatically get shot off through the machine to DPS, so we're not printing those out. But for other folks that are coming up there, the machine has a printer on there and the cards are in the thing. We just type in their information, roll it, gives us the green light that they're good, and we print them out for them, hand them to them, and then they can come turn them in to wherever they have to for their employers.
Good. Questions? Yeah, Councilmember Wells.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So does the equipment still remain an asset for the city, or are we talking about lending it, leasing it, or giving it?
We haven't gone beyond the initial of whether or not we are able to give it or sell it or lease it to them, so I don't have an answer to that. We can negotiate that if we get the green light to no longer provide this service as a city function.
Thank you.
Yeah. Councilmember Finch.
My suggestion would be that if our policies say we have to sell it to them, sell it to them for $1 because they're providing a service the city needs, the public needs, and that they're, like DPMS needs that instant fingerprint when it goes out the door.
Well, this sounds like a good deal all around to me. Is there any further discussion? We're discussing this to give the green light to administration to proceed with this, I guess that's...
I just wanted mostly to bring it back, since we did have such a thorough discussion about maintaining the service in the city prior to closing the jail. I wanted to make sure we were all okay with maintaining that service in the city, but under a different home, so.
I think I'm seeing head nods.
Better.
Sounds good?
Great, thank you.
And thank you guys for coming, all of
Thank you.
It's good to see all these faces.
Thank you.
Great.
So it sounds like you guys will work out the whole plan, right? All right, thank you very much. That was our last business item. I wanted to mention that our next meeting, before we get into comments, our next meeting is going to be on a Tuesday because Monday, the 27th of May is Memorial Day, which is a holiday. So we're going to have another Tuesday meeting, which will be advertised, but people sometimes get confused. So just so you mark it on your calendar now if you're watching. Okay, so we're down to citizen comments, and there's no sign up for this. You can have 5 minutes to talk on any subject you want, and all you have to do is raise your hand, and I'll ask you to come up, and then you give me your name and whether you live inside or outside the city limits. So, is there anyone who would like to speak? Oh, come on. Really? You sure, the last chance. Okay, seeing none, We're going to get out of here in a record time, it looks like. This brings us to council and administration comments and responses to citizen comments, and I'll start with the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to look ahead at our city council calendar. Next meeting, like you said, is a Tuesday. On June 10th, we just got approved from the city clerk to schedule a work session on an electric infrastructure update. So Brian Hickey from the electric department will be here to talk us through the infrastructure and plans moving forward with that. So that'll be a good presentation. And then looking at my schedule for the next few weeks, I am in the midst of a training cycle. I'll be attending ICS 300 to get that certification done, and then ICS 400, and then going to the Governmental Finances Officer Association training in Orlando. So I'll be here next meeting, but I won't be at any of the council meetings in June, so because of those trainings. So we'll have to get Jason ready to be in the hot seat while I'm gone, but just giving you a heads up in advance.
Okay, Jason, are you prepared for this?
Yeah, I'm fully prepared, and I don't have any comments, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Councilmember Barnwell, I'll start with you.
I think that the city manager should make sure she remembers my birthday in June, so you need to think about that when you're done. I did not do any, I have 10 bags and I didn't clean up a single bag, but I'm going to do it, I promise. So I think it's one of the first years I haven't cleaned up, so I'm pretty impressed with the mayor for, and I vouch for her. I see her going out, and it was really it's inspiring to see how many bags along the highway and behind Safeway too. Was a huge tackle job. Whoever did that, I think it was 25. Whoever 25 is. You're not 25, are you?
I did the end of it, south end.
I would like to, I really like that we're tackling all of these plans, the SMIC plan, the comprehensive, the ones that you guys have done in the last couple of years. I just think it's great for our community, and I'm excited that Danny's on board with that too, and Courtney. And I think that's it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Councilmember Kreis.
The only thing I had, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the presentation about the rural cap. It's good to see that we're going to have some development of those 10 lots for people that otherwise might not be able to buy a house here in Seward, so I appreciate that.
Okay. Councilmember Wells.
I don't have any comments, thank you.
Councilmember Fitch.
I'd like to give a shout out to the Seward wrestling team. This year they've been cranking out some impressive wrestlers, and that a lot has to do with Nate Smith's dedication. I know where his heart's at in that, and he's doing good. I'd like to thank Spring Creek for stepping up to provide this service to continuing the public. I'm glad we're tackling the parking issue at the trailhead. Now if we can just tackle the parking issue downtown.
Is that it? Okay, Vice Mayor Osenga. Welcome back.
Thank you. A little tired. I really don't have anything. I was going to say congratulations to the wrestler tonight, but I don't remember her name. Sorry. And great achievement. Good. Very, very, very proud of that kind of stuff that happens here in Seward. And I'm going to stop right there.
Okay. Well, I want to remind people that this Saturday is the Mermaid Festival, and this Saturday is also harbor opening, correct? Mm-hmm. And as part of the annual harbor opening, there's a dedication of new plaques or that sort of thing at the Mariners Memorial at the South Harbor Uplands at 3 o'clock, and that's followed by the Blessing of the Fleet by one of either Father Taro or Hanrahan, and then a boat parade. So that's part of the traditional harbor opening, and then the Mermaid Festival came along on top of it, which makes it even more exciting. So there will be a lot going on, and I promised Councilmember Calhoun that I would remind folks about Memorial Day, that at the Legion Cemetery at 11 a.m. or as soon as, if the train is coming, as soon as the train whistle has blown, there's the annual Memorial Day service there, which is always really, really good, and I recommend people going to that. And that's all I have, but it appears that the city manager has more.
I would like to pull a Councilmember Calhoun tonight and say that I forgot one thing. This weekend is also the Exit Glacier 5K and 10K run and the Torch Run. So both of those events are on the same day, on Saturday. So if you're in the mood to run with Parks and Recreation or for the Torch Run, that's all that information's online.
And I just saw the sign, and I don't know when, but the Kids Fishing Day is soon. There's a sign now at the boardwalk, and I don't know when, but keep your eyes open for the Kids Fishing Day, because I should have, nobody's waving their hand that they know, but I saw the sign and it's on the boardwalk, so it's a thing for kids to fish. Any other last minute comments? Okay, with that, at 8:05, I will adjourn the meeting.